Hello there. This is not going to be a happy episode. This is not a topic that you can just bring up at a dinner party. Not at all. In fact, when I've tried to bring this up to my parents, they just look at me like I'm crazy, and I'm not. I completely believe that this is going on inside our world, on Earth, and honestly, I think they're blind. Willingly so. So, let's just get into it. In 2020, I was sent a documentary from a friend, by a friend. It was titled The Fall of Cabal. Now, the Cabal means a small group of secret plotters as against a government or a person in authority. What it doesn't say is that the Cabal could also be the government itself versus a higher authority in the form of a deity, meaning God. Yes, God's going to be included in this, but I really hope that you'll just stick with me through the entire episode. Please do. I don't usually ask that of people. Like, please watch my stuff, like and subscribe. I don't do that, so I'm really asking you to watch this full thing, dude. The definition of Cabal in this scenario is the latter one that I just described, versus God. It's more than just a little scenario or a little situation. This has the potential for global disaster in the form of World War III or the Tribulation. The documentary that I was sent is a 10-part documentary uploaded right to YouTube. I saw it just in the nick of time because right after I saw it, I haven't even been able to find it anywhere. Part 5 of that documentary was also taken down for a short period of time, mostly because its main focus is the topic of discussion today. Just entertain this train of thought with me, okay? Just humor me and let me share my personal opinion that honestly starts with Jeffrey Epstein getting caught. I think that every single person on his flight logs, every celebrity involved, every politician involved, every bank owner involved, every CIA agent involved was like, oh crap, when Epstein got caught. In reality, I think it started with the Me Too movement back in 2017. That's the real start to this. Only 2 years later did Epstein actually get caught. Like, do you realize how little nudity has been involved in movies since 2017? No nudity, no sex scenes. In rated R movies on HBO, people don't want it anymore. There's a movie that's coming out with a sex scene in it, and people are flocking to attack it because of that one scene. Our nation is craving good for once. Sorry, let me emphasize that a little differently. Our nation is craving good for once. Epstein getting caught sent all the groups that I just listed into a sheer panic. What can we do? What do we do? Maybe start a worldwide illness? Maybe do that? Oh, good idea. We can shut the world down, kind of take care of a little thing, kill Epstein, maybe pass out these vaccines. Ooh, I like the vaccines because it'll keep the sickness going after it's long past and like damage people's immune system. Yeah, that's what I think happened. October, Epstein gets caught. February. What illness can you create in those months? There are 13 families that run our world. Let me list their bloodlines. The Astor bloodline, the Bundy bloodline, the Collins, the DuPont, the Freeman, the Kennedy, the Lee, the Onassis, the Rockefeller, the Russell, the Van Duyn, I don't know if I said that right, the Merrow-Vinnigan, and the Rothschild bloodline. These 13 families run our world. They have enough money between the 13 of them to own everything somehow. If you think that Disney owns everything, dude, think again. These families do, and they're evil. They're inherently evil people. My friend who was in the Air Force for almost 20 years, he said that Satan does not bother himself tempting regular people. Satan attacks people in power, influences, sometimes even controls them. People who hold all the cards, like Hitler or Stalin, or these 13 families. There was a reporter that interviewed a senator and recorded him without him knowing it. He admitted that COVID, the mask mandates, and the vaccines were all agendas that they were pushing. Why? What for? Unless it's something big. Then the reporter asked, well, what's next? And the senator said, we'll start pushing global warming because fear sells. Fear sells. Well, I guess sex doesn't sell too much anymore, huh? If they're having to resort to fear now, global warming, I have a different word for it. It's called the tribulation. It's not global warming. People are becoming numb to porn. The pleasure of that act depletes, but the sinful desire is still there. So naturally it searches for whatever's available, and kids are easy prey. In fact, the child sex trafficking industry globally produces $150 billion a year. when in the United States it produces $34 billion a year. The U.S. is the number one culprit of this huge issue. That is why I believe all of this is happening. I became so immensely depressed in 2020 when Biden won because I had just watched the fall of Cabal, and I kind of liked Trump for the first time because he's mentioned in this as having a plan, having a scheme. If he were to have been reelected, we would have gone this way. And when Biden got elected, I knew we were going that way. It sunk in the reality of where we're actually headed when I was really hoping it was that way. Trump would have done his best to drain the swamp, and Biden has just invited so much more into the swamp. I really hadn't had a reason to like Trump yet. He's very unlikable. But he, like I said, he's mentioned to be in cahoots with the Kennedy family in trying to do good and trying to expose this secret society that is doing unfathomable damage to our children and bringing in an insurmountable amount of money in doing it too. I believe that Hollywood and the CIA have been intertwined since the start of the CIA. JFK wanted to break and shatter the CIA into 1 million pieces, and right after he said that, he got shot. He got assassinated. The people in Hollywood do not sell their souls. They sell their bodies because demons crave physical pleasure. They see human beings drinking, partying, having sex, doing whatever else, and they're jealous. They crave it. They want it. That's why I believe that the highest ranking pop artists, musicians, actors, and celebrities are potentially possessed by demons and can have multiple entities living within them, so then the demons get to live out their physical pleasure. Beyonce came out with that album Sasha, or whatever it is, whatever the name is, but she calls herself Sasha, her alter ego. She refers to it as an alter ego, but that's the name of her demon. She's telling us she has a demon in her. King James was the first man to put the Bible together in English. But what a lot of people don't know is that King James was a devout demonologist and a homosexual. He spent time in prison for loving like the Prince of France or something like that. He may have even edited parts of the Bible to make it a little bit more user-friendly. And to me, what that means is that he was like the first source of media, where like the news today is editing and distracting and they're picking sides. Well, I think that King James might have been the first media. And it's interesting because Shakespeare, which is kind of one of our first sources for entertainment that has now led to theater, movies, TV, Shakespeare used demonology, the book that King James wrote. King James wrote a book called Demonology before he ever put the Bible together. And Shakespeare used that as a roadmap for all the plays that he wrote. So that tells me that not only have King James could have edited the Bible, but for him to have influenced Shakespeare so much, and then we all, like where Hollywood comes from now, that puts so much into perspective. To see how Shakespeare's works have morphed into new forms of media, again, that says so much about where Hollywood comes from, even though it's taken centuries to get here. That tells me that there has always been a strong, demonic force attached to media. The one positive thing is that through all of the translations of the Bible, the message of salvation never wavers. It never alters. Salvation can only happen through Jesus Christ and Him alone, not through good works. Catholics believe that it's through good works that you get to heaven. And honestly, I'm not trying to demean Catholicism, but I think that Catholicism was created to be a huge distraction from Christianity. So many Catholics are going to die thinking they're believers when they never really were. I'm just stating my belief. People are going to take offense to that, and I mean, honestly, how dare they? How dare they take offense to something that I foundationally and fundamentally believe? So there is still hope. God will prevail in the end. Satan totally knows that. That's why he's throwing a hissy fit all the time. Satan will also employ his demons to go attack Christians. I think Christians are attacked constantly by them, because why would Satan need to tempt, distract, and control people that he already has in his back pocket that are non-believers? He already has them. He's taking them to hell with them. Christians, all he can do is knock us off the track and make us have bad testimonies and false testimonies and present a bad image of Christianity so that he gets to have more people. And Satan will fight and claw until the very day that he is condemned forever to hell, along with those people who never knew God and chose to reject him. That is the unforgivable sin. There is a movie coming out today, July 3rd. It's actually releasing July 4th, which makes me scared for July 4th, but it's called Sound of Freedom. It stars Jim Caviezel, who played Jesus Christ in Passion of the Christ, and somebody who was helping promote this movie is Mel Gibson. I have heard that Mel Gibson is making a 4-part documentary on the Rothschild family and the 13 families, trying to expose this $34 billion a year industry inside the United States. But then I looked it up, and so many media outlets are saying Mel Gibson's not making the documentary. No, he's not. But with how many people are like, nope, no, he's not, no, he's not. That tells me he might actually be making it and doing it in secret, which is the only way that he could do it, because he could get Epsteined. And I think he's the opposite of Epstein. So I'm really hoping that the 4-part documentary gets released, gets made at some point. But Sound of Freedom comes out tomorrow. You guys have to go watch it. It's about this incredible true story of a Homeland Security rescuing a bunch of kids who were getting trafficked. And Tim Ballard, he said, dude, we owe it to those kids who have been through this and who have died. We owe it to them to go see and support this movie and join the resistance, because this is becoming a very serious fight. And people who are not aware of it, not actively fighting, not speaking out, there just isn't any room for stagnancy in this fight. If you're sitting around not paying attention to what's really going on, then you're against the good. Turning a blind eye will have its consequences as well. I do believe that. Thank you guys. This was my episode for today. I really hope that it connected with you on some level, and that if it opened your eyes, I pray that be the case, man. Because this is scary and this is going down. Have a happy July 4th. Peace, everybody. See you next week.